support the bill, but I wanted to contribute to the issue of the bill that has just been moved by Senator Sige. It's extremely important, and as the majority leader has rightly observed, it's an area that sometimes escapes proper attention. And in disability, you also have invisible disability. There are disabilities that are invisible, that have not been categorized and captured by even the state in terms of regulations. So this particular bill calls for quite some extensive work, and maybe we might need to have very, very heavy input by experts in the area so that you can be able to deal with it. Because recently, I got a petition from Kajiado, from Narok, really, from Narok County, in Narok Town, of people living with invisible disabilities and how they're having problems being recognized and being assisted. So I think through this bill, Honorable Speaker, I have no doubt that we will be able to address this very, very important issue that is touching on the livelihoods of very, very important Kenyans. And so, these disabilities, Mr. Speaker, I would urge that we give this bill the support it requires, we give this bill the attention it requires, and the Senate goes out of its way to ensure that maximum resources are availed to address the question of disability. Even in schools, we have had kids who have performed very poorly because they've got disabilities of sight that are invisible. Maybe they're not seeing what the teacher is teaching on the blackboard, they're not hearing well. And these kids sometimes are classified as stupid and dumb. Yet, they're challenged in terms of being able to comprehend just by the senses what is going on. So maybe we will need also to have assessments early in life to establish these disabilities in school so that these kids can be adequately supported. And sometimes some of these disabilities, when arrested early, when they're beginning to develop, can be mitigated. And so the bill may need to look at how do we mitigate, how do we go out to identify these disabilities that maybe gradually get to a point whereby they are not reversible, but maybe if identified early, they can be reversed. So that's one thing I would really appreciate this particular bill to do. And I want to congratulate Senator Sige, the strong lady who stands on her principles, as she has demonstrated, and not once, but many times, and who is passionately committed to the constituency that elected her through special nomination into this august house. So I'm very, very proud that I am in the same house with Senator Sige, and we remember that recently she was voted among the top 100 honchos in the world. So among the top 100 honchos in the world. So we are sitting with one very, very strong person in this Senate, and it's not by fluke or accident that she's done what she's done. It is very, very deliberate, it's very, very focused, and it's aimed at solving a major, major problem in this country. I had the opportunity of employing one of my workers has got in the constituency office, has got visibility, she has visual disability. So, but she's one of my top performers because she's a stickler for detail and she performs very well. That you find that sometimes you might think that somebody is disabled just by looking at them, but there are other abilities that come in. Now the question is, how do we harness these special abilities that people have? How do we facilitate and equip them to be able to be the best they can be? That's the challenge that we have. And I think as a country that makes law, and as a country of law, we have the obligation and the duty to go out of our way and make sure that these very, very critical members of society are facilitated and are enabled to do the best they can do. Last Sunday when I was going to in my church, I was at the Don Bosco Catholic Church, and the gospel the Gospel of Matthew was read, and there was a blind person. Who was the Gospel of that? There was this blind person, Bartimaeus, who heard that Jesus was somewhere. And he began calling out. He was blind, began calling out. And the crowd around him was shouting him down and trying to shut him down and do whatever, they don't move it. But he persisted, and in his persistence, the Christ told him, your faith has saved you. So that question of marginalization of people with disability can be seen in the Gospel of Mark. He was being denied the chance to reach the Christ. He had heard there was the Christ around, but he could not reach him. So he was called, the only thing he had was a voice. But even his voice was being suppressed. He could not reach the Christ. And that's what is happening for many people who are disabled in this country. They have been denied the chance to move, the chance to be what they can be. And so when the Christ tells the son of Bartimaeus that your faith has saved you, as we read in the gospel last Sunday, I'm telling you is what Ms. Asige is trying to do in this house. She's trying to ask society to allow her and people like her who have got various challenges to be the best they can be. And most of the time, we push them aside, we shut them down, we deny them the chance to reach the promise that this republic has. When you look at our national anthem, that promise in our national anthem should reach everybody, including those who are challenged. And this should not just be a question of creating institutions and whatever, but institutions that are proactive, that go out before and identify people. They should not be institutions that wait for the people with physical challenges or physically challenged to come to them. They should be able to go into society and identify these people. And right now we know that many people associate physical disability not with natural causes, but sometimes with supernatural causes. They can claim maybe your parents did whatever, and even the Christ was asked, whose sin was it that he was born blind? And so this stigmatization that you can see in the gospel is a stigmatization that we find in our people today in society. So you'll find people have got children, they hide them because they've got disabilities. They deny these children a chance to go to school. They do all these things. So we need to come up with a law that will make the state go out into every home, into every heart, and ensure that nobody is being denied the promise of this republic simply because they've got a physical challenge. And with technology today, most of these physical challenges are totally overcome. I'm telling you, we are in a generation whereby even people who have got a visual disability can drive because we nowadays have driverless cars. So these aids and these tools should be able to come around. And when we build our buildings, when we do whatever, we must make them friendly to address the question of physical disability. So we are here at the corner of history. We are here like in the days of the prophet Jeremiah. Whom shall I send? That's the call Senator Asige is asking us. Will this Senate say, here am I, send me? Will this Senate say that by passing this very important bill? So let us really embrace this bill. Let us enrich it. Let us, in public participation, at the stage of public participation, the committee that will consider it must get very deliberate and go out and tap into the scientific knowledge we have around the subject, invite people who have got knowledge around those issues, so that we can come up with a bill that is a bill for the modern times, that is a bill that will address future needs and future aspirations. Even the Gen Z, we have got Gen Z who have got physical disabilities. The debate never came up for them. Nobody spoke out about Gen Z with physical disability. We spoke about Gen Z who are enabled, physically enabled like most of us are, and for whom society lives out. And as I mentioned, the Gen Z, we are now also getting into a state whereby the state is causing disability. We want to see a reduction in police brutality. We want to see a reduction in the way the state conducts its affairs so that we don't keep on maiming and killing and dismembering members of our citizens. So there's a lot of this, like the last civic education that we had on our streets, or rather political education that we had on the streets with the Gen Z. When they were doing political education on the finance bill, most of them were violated, injured, and hurt. And as I speak about that, I also want to speak about what is happening, what was in the media today. We saw in the media that people are disappearing in this country, people are being abducted, people are being violated. And for me, Mr. Speaker, I would like to draw the attention of this House to an important article of the Constitution which lays the blame where it should be. And I request you, Mr. Speaker, to allow me to read Articles 131, Articles 131 and Article 132, part of them. The Article 131 is on the authority of the President. They said the President is the head of state and government. The President exercises the executive authority of the Republic. He is the Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defense Forces. He is the Chairperson of the National Security Council. He is a symbol of national unity. They said the President shall respect, uphold, and safeguard the Constitution. The President shall safeguard the sovereignty of the people, promote and enhance unity of the nation, promote respect for the diversity of the people and communities of Kenya, and ensure the protection of human rights and fundamental freedoms and the rule of law. We also go ahead and you see that under 132, 1C, the President, once every year, the President shall report in an address to the nation on all measures taken and the progress achieved in the realization of the national values referred to in Article 10. I'm not aware of this thing happening under President Uhuru, and I've not seen it happen today. And so, what I'm saying is that the buck stops with the President. Kenyans are disappearing on the streets. Kenyans are being abducted. The political responsibility belongs to the President according to this provision of the Constitution.
Senator Omtata, I really don't want to interrupt your submission. What is the relevance of what you're telling us regarding this bill?
Yes, there have been disabilities caused on the streets of Nairobi by rogue police officers. Human rights have been violated, and that's why I'm saying that the President is responsible for those things. He's supposed to ensure that the Bill of Rights is upheld. And that's why I'm bringing the relevance of the bill to this thing. People have been maimed. There are disabilities. Some of us have also disability, invisible disabilities. When it comes to chewing bones, we cannot chew bones like Sifuna can. So we'll pass bones over to Sifuna and he benefits. You see, because we lost our teeth. So here, Mr. Speaker, the President, the buck stops with the President with what is happening in this country, where there's a total disregard for the the rights of the people, and all that disregard of rights results in people who are affected to the point that even some of them are dysfunctional. I've talked to people who are abducted and kept in some detention centers where they say there's so many other people still there. They've come out and they tell you, me, I don't want to engage with anybody. They are totally traumatized. They are dysfunctional. And those are among the invisible disabilities that we have. So I'm pleading that as we pass this bill, we must make sure that the president accounts for that. The Bill of Rights on minorities and people with disabilities is also a responsibility of the president. When you look at this article, which says, there's Article 131E, it says, 2E, says that the president shall ensure the protection of human rights and fundamental freedoms and the rule of law. So there's an obligation is on the president to make sure that this Bill of Rights, the cry that our beloved Senator Asige is calling upon us to help us make this law, it should really be, it should get the real support of the president so that it becomes a law that will help him enforce this Bill of Rights. Mr. Speaker, sir, I can see you smiling, and I'm happy that you're smiling and not calling me to order. And so there's a sign of an agreement, but I think this time we held the president to account on his responsibilities in this article, and so that this country can be run like a republic. And I want to tell you that when Americans got their constitution, there was one old man who was 80 years old suffering from gout, Benjamin Franklin, who had been pushing for it when it was eventually accepted. Among the crowd, people approached him and asked him, "What have you given us? Is it a monarchy or a republic?" Benjamin Franklin answered, "A republic if you can keep it." A republic does not just exist. A republic is an ongoing, ongoing concern. It's a duty. A republic is a duty upon us. And if you read our constitution, as well as Article 3, Clause 1, it's a call to duty. If you listen to our national anthem, it's a call to duty. So in the words of Benjamin Franklin, all Kenyans are called to keep this country a republic. And a republic, we must keep it. And among keeping this country a republic is the call by Senator Asige that all Kenyans must be carried on board. Nobody should be left behind. Nobody should fall through the cracks. So we are going to make this law to ensure that all Kenyans enjoy the promise of the republic, and we keep Kenya a republic, and a republic being a government of law, not a government of men, a government of law, where all are subject to the law. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and I like when you smile at me. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Omtata. Senator Ali Roba.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.